Good evening, everyone. We are joined by Mr. Ryan Azaz Ul Ghani, the branch manager at Aussizz Group UAE. Having completed most of their education abroad in countries like Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Australia, they have been involved in student counseling for the past 5 years at Aussizz Group. This has helped them understand the challenges faced by international students and will be providing solutions to tackle them. Our experts will be waiting to take your questions. Please post your questions in the chat box and we will answer the queries at the end of the session. Also, we have some very exciting giveaways for our attendees. We want to take the session deep and interactive and encourage questions and feedback. We have bumper cash prizes to claim for the ones who leave the most descriptive review under this Facebook post. I'll be putting the link in the chat box. Tag your friends with hashtag Aussizz Education Summit 2022, hashtag Aussizz Group in the comment section along with your feedback. Also, the most participative audience member from the chat box is eligible for free giveaways such as PTE, coaching, IELTS coaching, PR consultations, etc. We encourage you to come and be a part of our summit. Ryan, you can begin.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Sherlyn, for the introduction. I am going to talk about how to navigate through the Australian student life while you study here, or if you're planning to come to Australia, or if you have thoughts about studying abroad. Now, this session will help you understand how a student in Australia can survive or get through the time while he pursues his studies. I'll just begin with my presentation. Okay, let's begin. Sorry for the trouble, guys. I think we have a few people who have joined in while we were setting this up.
Ryan, can you just make it full screen, the presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as I said, this summit, during this presentation, I'm going to talk about the student support of people who are interested in choosing Australia as their destination for studies. Now, as we know, Australia is a very beautiful country and it has resumed their international student intake since January. The beauty of studying in Australia or studying abroad in any destination is gaining a broader understanding of other people's culture who live there. It gives you an access of understanding and building relationship with the people of the home turf and enables students to think more creatively and flexibly. Now, it also adds necessary skills which will assist everyone in today's competitive work environment. I'll talk about how Australia could be a preferred destination for students who are choosing to study abroad. Now, this slide is going to explain you a few things about Australia. For example, Australia has a highest percentage of international students relatively to its overall student body. So, besides having beautiful beaches, great sunshine, Australia also has rank one universities, colleges, and institutes. Now, in Australia, for a student, it is possible to study almost any subject you can think of, thanking to its rich variety of programs. Tuition fees in Australia is comparatively lower than other English speaking countries, so studying here won't break your banks either. Australia as a country was founded on principles of diversity and multiculturalism. The forward thinking nation welcomes individuals from all backgrounds, all countries, and all cultures into its shores, which can reduce the chances of experiencing a culture shock, which can happen in other countries where English is not widely spoken. Australia also achieved a rank 5 as a destination for international students, and Australia has a total number of 420,500 students, contributing to 28% of total student population in the country. Now, as we all know, Australia is a land of diversity and culture. Living in a new country can be very different to your lifestyle, but it is not the same in Australia, where most of the international students feel home while studying or living there. Here are a few things about Australia. The map and climate for international students from Asian countries, North American countries is very similar. The climate in Australia may take some getting used to, especially during the winters. But as the Australian seasons are opposite to those in Asia and North America, the climate in Australia varies widely depending on the area. Like when you're in Western Australia, the climate is different. When you come to South Australia, Victoria, the climate is different, and people get to choose their environments. People and culture. Australia has extremely culturally diverse country. We have a number of festivals that are celebrated throughout the country. It has varied in religion, language, history, and art. International students that come to study in Australia will always find them studying in a fascinating and diverse environment where they would be engaged and explored to a lot of cultural activities due to the contribution of students from around the world. Getting around in Australia is a very easy part. Australia is an extremely large country, making transportation very important. The public transportation system is very efficient. The international student should always be able to get from A to B, whether they travel by bus, train, ride share, bikes, or by air travel. Accommodation, one of the things international students will have to determine when preparing to study in Australia is where to live. Most of the Australian universities provide student accommodation if you want to, but then the majority of Australian students live off campus through homestay programs, hostels, or rental properties. Now, this helps students to engage in other activities and understand off campus activities better. However, some universities, like I mentioned, they provide housing options which allows international students to socialize with the local students and the other students that come from other countries. Considering the money matter, tuition fees in Australia is generally less expensive than in countries like United States or United Kingdom, which is the most preferable option for students apart from Australia. Visa requirements are pretty simple and easy. The Australian government allows people who are not Australian citizens or permanent residents to study in Australia. Hence, they're called international students. Now, there are several requirements which the earlier sessions might have helped you to understand how to process a visa or how to apply for a visa to come to study in Australia. Now, my next slides, these are like a few reasons which a student should consider in planning their future studies abroad. For example, the biggest reason you should consider while choosing your study abroad is the opportunity to see the world and the opportunity to see new terrains, natural wonders, museum, landmarks, almost everything that a country can offer. Another reason you should consider is the chance to experience different methods of education. Every country has a different method or a standard of education. Australia has top ranking universities, top ranking education system, which will help you better. Now you'll find that you have a better understanding and appreciation for the nation's people and history when you go to a different country and study there. You'll also have an opportunity to witness a completely new way of life. You will have a chance to hone your language skills if you get to gather with students from other countries who speak different languages. If you're planning to study abroad, one of the major draws is an opportunity to study a foreign language as well. When you finish study abroad program and return home, you will return with a new perspective on culture, language skills, great education, and a willingness to learn. Needless to say, all of these are very attractive to future employers. One of the last benefit of studying abroad is the opportunity to discover yourself while gaining an understanding of a different culture. Being in a new place by yourself can be overwhelming at times. It tests your ability to adapt to diverse situation while being able to to solve your problems. Now, few reasons I would like to elaborate about studying in Australia is Australia promotes innovation, creativity, and independent thinking throughout its universities. International students who study and live in Australia soon find that their education is challenging, fun, and rewarding. As international student in Australia, you can also expect to live, grow, and learn in a young, friendly country full of opportunities. For international students who successfully complete their degrees, they will soon find that they're competitive in today's international job market. Some points that would help students to what do you say, find an Australian university of or college is you should decide choosing a right program. You should find a right insurance provider for your study in Australia. You should also be able to have financial aid for yourself while you study in Australia, and you must be able to you must have your options for living in Australia as well. Working in Australia is pretty easy. Australian government has eased the working restrictions for international students, where students could uh, pursue or engage in employment activities throughout their study period. And then Australian government or the visa facilities also allow you to study further. For example, if you come here for a bachelor study, a diploma study, or a master study, you can choose a further program and continue your studies while you apply for a student visa. Now, the next slide that I'm going to explain about is the importance of considering or maintaining your mental health, especially during these times where we got to experience a total shutdown for the last 2 years. I have mentioned a few points that would help international students to look after their mental health while pursuing their studies in Australian universities. First thing is, you must be responsible to school outreach. Most of the times we engage in our studies and then we engaged in work activities and we forget to have a proper outreach with the school. Most of the universities and school have proper guidance and availability that can look after your problems and issues. Students can also join social clubs and groups. Almost all the universities have international student groups pertaining to their particular countries or cultures. You should start engaging in joining those social clubs and groups, which will help you look after your mental health and also help you to keep yourself busy. Start to volunteer and participate in community service. Australia has a very wide range of community service programs that you could engage yourself in. You should consider meditation or prayer while you engage in your day-to-day activities. Also try to explore counseling services if the need arises. If you think that you're in a new country where you're not able to engage with people or understand what is going around, try to explore your counseling opportunities that are available. Also, apart from your studies and work, start to get outdoors and explore the beautiful country and every single opportunity that Australia provides. Now, here I've accumulated a few data for Australian inbound students. According to the research, Australia has students. The highest number of students that come to Australia for study purposes are from China, and then secondly from India, thirdly from Nepal, and then follows Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Hong Kong. So basically, India and China are the highest contributors of international students who come here to study. Both these countries are non-English speaking countries, and students find it easier to come to Australia and survive here and complete their studies. Now, these are a few fields of studies that usually students prefer to engage in while they choose Australia as their preferred study destination. Highest number of students engage in business and management studies, but as you can see from the data, Australia provides each and every field of study, starting from agriculture, education, engineering, fine and applied arts, health professions, which is a high booming field as of now, mathematics and computer science, physical and life science, social science, and other unspecified subject areas such as community service and trade related courses. Australia also has highest number of postgraduate or degree undertaking students, which could be your bachelor study, your diploma, or others. Whereas we also provide research programs, doctoral degrees, and so on. With this sheet, you get to understand that there has always been a rise of incoming students to Australia. But due to the pandemic and COVID situation in 2020 and 21, there was a slight decline where the numbers could be rising from now as the borders are open and students have started coming in. But since 2013, the graph has always been going on and on, where Australia has now reached 450,000 international students coming in every year to engage in study activities. Now, this is a few points that I've mentioned on advice and assistance for students who are looking to learn more about studying in Australia, or how they can prepare themselves to get the most of their time while they're pursuing studies. Australia, as you can see, is the most preferred destination for students across the globe. Now, Aussies have laid out a wide variety of range and services that will assist and guide every student to begin his journey in Australia. Starting from student support services that allow you to choose and decide the most suitable study option, to consulting and creating pathways that allow a student to get further with his visa options and allow him to stay in the country. We have also curated a range of services that will help you in making use of your time while studying. For example, we have designed and created a PT and IELTS tutorial application which helps you prepare and understand about the exam on the go. We also have a CCL tutorial exam which helps you in language training, and it has exam patterns for most of the languages. Also, with 24 offices worldwide and more than 50,000 satisfied students, we are here to make your dream of studying in Australia come true. I would now take any questions that students are having, or our attendees are having, about their plans, or if they want to study in Australia, or if they have any questions of that sort.
Does anyone have any questions for Ryan?
Yeah, students can also post in the comment section or anything, like if.
I don't think we have any questions.
No questions, no problem.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It was very informative, because when I came to Australia as a student, I wish someone had given me all this advice, because it took me a while to get used to and learn so many things.
Yeah, it usually happens because when we move out of a country for our studies, we usually have the university and our course in mind. We forget to put a lot of factors, that
Yep.
help us to go through and to survive in that country. Usually, we end up deciding a university, we end up deciding a course, we end up deciding a place to live, but we forget about the outer aspects that could help us, or to go through our duration. And most of the students who navigate or who move to a country for the first time, they end up getting homesick, or they have thoughts about going back to their country, especially when the education system is different, when what you have studied previously, the system, the way and the methods were different. But yeah, if student decides to come abroad, they have to have a broader understanding that, okay, the education system is going to be different, the teachers are going to be different, and a lot of things are going to affect my journey while I'm studying there.
That's true, because I didn't know. I was not homesick exactly, but it was a new atmosphere. I didn't know anyone. So everything was really strange. I didn't, in the beginning, I had to use Google Maps to get to my class, because the college is so huge,
Yeah,
the campus. So
campuses are here.
yeah. So it used to be feel weird, and it took me like after 14, 15 days, I made friends. So everything was better. But yeah, it takes time. And had
Yeah,
I known all these things, I was just too excited to come from India and leave home and
yes.
be independent. I didn't think about how it's actually going to be.
Yeah, so these universities, like luckily Australia, almost every campus, every university provides facilities for students, to go through these uncertain times when you move from your home country and you come to a new place. There are students who have studied abroad already, or who have done their studies in a different country and then come to Australia. But a lot of students, like I mentioned, from China and India, they come to Australia or they move out of their countries for the first time, and most of them are non-English speaking students, and they are the highest number of students who get to survive in Australia and who decide to pursue their careers in Australia.
Right. Definitely. I mean, I get that, but I think it's really important. Like nowadays, I think people have, a little bit of, they have someone to guide them, but
Yes.
sometimes they don't, like in my case. So I really wish I had attended a education summit and your session before I came to Australia.
I only decided to put the importance of mental health because what we realized was we had a number of students that came in deciding to pursue their studies in the year 2021 and 2020, let's say 2020 initially, and those students and most of the people got stuck in the pandemic situation, in the lockdown situation, where
One of them.
where even before you could begin your journey, before you could make friends, before you could understand what's happening around your campus, or outside your campus, people got stuck in a lockdown situation where a lot of them uh, didn't realize or didn't understand what to do. Luckily Australia provided good uh, support to students as well, but there are a few things that universities have come up now in case times like these uh, come up again, so there are counseling services. Every universities have mental health support services. You can always communicate with them, you can always reach out to them, you can advise, you can seek advice, or you could also consult your counselors. I'm not sure how other counselors help you in dealing with these things, but yeah, if you need help, you have to reach out for help, and it always helps you to overcome that situation.
So yes, all the Australian universities, I think all of them have a counselor. I'm
Yes.
from UNSW, so I initially when I came here, I didn't have friends. So I applied for cultural mentor. So I think every university has that option too. So they make sure that they ask you questions, they set up a weekly meeting based on your availability, and then they, take you around the campus, they ask you how you're doing. So yeah, that's something I really like about the Australian colleges because we definitely don't have this in India or, you know, all
Yes,
countries.
that's true. This facility or this the importance they give to this issue is not really widely still accepted in other places. But Australia, yeah, I've also realized that they have they give a good importance to this issue, which is important, especially when you're beginning your studies or when you're planning to do something for yourself. These things come across, and when you're away from your parents, family, friends, relatives, something like this should help you, to take you through your journey.
Definitely. It takes time. I mean, I came here in 2019, the last term. So it took me at least, I went back home after 3 months and for the holidays. And then when I came back, the pandemic started. So I barely went to university for 3.5 months. Then when I came back, so I was living in the university accommodation with um, it was a 5 BHK with two girls. And then they both left. They got scared. So they left for their home countries. And I was living in a
Yeah.
5 BHK for the entire lockdown by myself.
Oh,
So that's how the pandemic.
hopefully we won't get to see this time again. Hopefully everything gets back to
Yeah,
usual, and we don't have to go through these things. But yeah, any students or any attendees that are here who feel like they need to reach out, feel free to reach our offices. You can contact our counselors. They can help you or guide you, to get in touch with your counselors and other things.
let's see if we have any questions. Does anyone have any questions, or is there anything you want to know about anything? You can ask Ryan.
If we have any offshore students, they can also put in questions in relates to how they could begin their journey, or how they could begin to decide how to study abroad, or what steps they have to take, or how do they evaluate themselves. Any kind of questions are welcome.
I don't think we do. I think you pretty much covered everything in your presentation, so no one really has anything to ask.
That's good.
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session. Thank you so much, Ryan. Don't forget to
Thank
leave your review for this session. I'll put a review link in the chat box. Your feedback is much appreciated. Don't miss out on our next information. Oh, it's the last day, so we don't have any more sessions left. Thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully, we'll see you next time in our next education.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day.